It's 9 o'clock here in Kampala, this 21st day of October 2016. Welcome to Prime News Live. My name is Daniel Rutaya. We start with the headlines. The Crane Bank crisis, clients in panic as withdrawals continue, and Crane Bank takeover crisis continues.
Is also going to make sure that they look at the electricity connections in the school so that this does not happen again.
Students escape with minor injuries as St. Peter's SS dormitories goes up in flames. Natural Resources Committee summoned to State House as inquest into illegal sand mining trade continues.
The challenge that the lady goes through is obviously boards have tended to be male dominated.
And women in leadership as stakeholders want a greater role for women in business. Well, once again, a warm welcome to Prime News Live. We begin with the fire that gutted the girls' dormitory at St. Peter's SS in Nsambya here in Kampala last evening. The inferno that gutted the dormitory housing Senior 1 students started at around 7 p.m., sending panic across the school, which is located adjacent to Nsambya Hospital. There were no fatalities registered apart from 12 students who were taken to Nsambya Hospital and treated for suffocation and shock.
Millions worth of students' property was burnt when one of the girls' dormitories was gutted by fire Thursday evening, but no life lost since all students were attending night preps. By daybreak today, the situation was calm, with classes going on by press time. Senior 4 candidates were also writing their UCE exam.
We first went to S1 Blue, so when power came back, there wasn't power by that time. So when it was back, we had to go to the White House. So as we went there, as we reached there, I was just opening my bag. So I felt the smell of smoke. So, and within no moment, I heard the primary children making noise that fire, fire. So we had to look through the windows. When we looked through the windows, we saw that smoke was coming out of our dormitory. So we decided to run out. By the time I reached out, I would see the fire. Okay, the fire in the dormitory, it was too much.
The teachers were trying to open the door, but the door couldn't open. So they decided to break the windows. And the boys came out from the ADB block. They came out with fire extinguishers. They came out with water, everything that can stop fire. The primary kids, some of them were stopping fire from the behind part of the dome. So even as we were sitting there, some of us were shocked. Most of them were crying, but the tears couldn't come out. People started fainting. Now the boys who are trying to stop the fire, some of them were burnt.
According to the school's head teacher, the fire was caused by a short circuit as a result of poor electrical wiring. He says the school will now help the affected students who lost study notes and other scholastic material to cope with their dilemma.
nga bali mu bibiina bakola kye tuyita prep. Twagulabye mangu ne tukola kyonna kyonna ekisoboka okuguzikiza nga tukozesa ebirwanyisa omuliro bye twabadde nabyo, amazzi, fire extinguishers, ate ne tukubira poliisi nejja omuliro neguzikiza, era ne tulabira ddala nti tegukyayinza kukola ki kweyongerayo. Ababadde abafunye okutya okw'amaanyi ne bagwa ne bafuna shock batwalidda mu Nsambya Hospital. Abasawo ne babakolako bulungi ne tubakomyawo ekiro era basuze wano era kati bali mu bibiina.
The Director for Education and Social Services at KCCA, Juliet Namudu Nambi, who visited the school, cautioned proprietors against shoddy works on school structures and the tendency to disregard installing sufficient safety mechanisms.
The school is also going to make sure that they look at the electricity connections in the school so that this does not happen again. What could have sparked off for the electricity to do this? so that at least we are curbing that as well.
In the hospital, only 3 of the 12 originally admitted last evening were still admitted by press time. They are Ezra Tendo, Raymond Sekade and Alan Soga.
Yeah, but by the time they come back to school, they're really safe and okay. Okay. So Anna, we pray for you. We know you'll be okay. Okay? We will see you. I'll come and visit you.
Parents could be seen arriving at the school to check on their loved ones in the wake of the fire, although much of the normal activities were going on smoothly. This story was compiled by Nachamba de Maria, WBS TV.
Well, the fire is a sad story, but we are most certainly glad that no one was critically injured. The news of Crane Bank takeover by the Bank of Uganda has left clients in a state of panic as they are not certain about their finances. Majority can be seen withdrawing their savings from the beleaguered commercial bank. The takeover by the Bank of Uganda witnessed funds injected into Crane Bank in terms of loans as potential investors are being sought. The investor will, however, need to refund the loaned money to the central bank. A junior relations manager who preferred anonymity told WBS TV that Crane Bank ran bankrupt and could not service its clients anymore. Now, clients are determined to withdraw their entire savings, and any hindrances could cause frustration or litigation.
I had some money on a fixed account in this bank, so when I heard about the scandal that is prevailing, I decided to come and make it so that I get that money. But when I came to consult, they told me that I cannot get the money not until the time period matures. So it's next year that I'll get that money. We are hearing about Crane Bank. We hear that it's closing, so a lot of things are saturating. Many, there are very many. Everyone is taking out this for her money. People are taking money in sacks in different currencies.
Crane Bank, a very interesting story that gets to end this week on the lowest of notes any week has ended. That is for the economy of this country. And joining me to discuss this and more issues that are rising because of the broader perspective of the economic times and even on the micro perspective of Crane Bank is Patrick Katabazi. He is a lawyer, land counsel and an economist. Thanks a lot, Patrick, for joining me.
The pleasure is mine.
A story that ran in the Observer newspaper today claimed that Crane Bank was the largest bank in as far as assets are concerned in this country of Uganda. How did this happen?
Yes, it's quite a long story because this bank has been in Uganda for the last 20 years. As a matter of fact, last year they celebrated their 20th anniversary in Uganda. Realistically, it's been the second, or it is the second largest indigenous bank in Uganda after Centenary Bank, and perhaps was viewed as the most progressive because at least it is the only bank in Uganda that had established its presence in a neighboring country such as Rwanda. So when you look at it, it's really a bank that anyone, if you looked at their books of accounts, if you looked at their portfolio, if you look at the assets base, you would imagine that this is the bank that was destined to be around for quite some time. And of course, you know, it hasn't fallen yet because, I mean, it is still probably alive. But the recent events that we are witnessing, including people now going to withdraw all their savings in the bank, does indicate that, as a matter of fact, if this period is not managed very well, the bank is likely to collapse.
Okay, now what about the withdrawals that are happening? People picking all their money out of the bank right now. Won't that have an effect on the inflation rates now that people have cash, or won't it have some micro effect on the banks?
No, you see what is happening is that I think there have been mismanagement of communication. There was a rumor some time ago, last week, on social media, that there are some challenges. The bank came out strongly and denied. Bank of Uganda put out a statement indicating that Crane Bank is sound and very sound and people should not worry. Now, hardly a week, they announced that actually there are problems in the bank and they are now doing a management takeover. So it is something that can worry anyone, including myself. If I had money there, I would rush and pick it. But to answer your question directly, is that people are retrieving this money not for the purposes of actually maybe consuming it, but rather for the purposes of guaranteeing safety. If they tell you that this financial institution is at risk, then the next day is to ensure that if it is about to die, it shouldn't die with your money. And for me, that is what is happening. But generally, we have seen so many banks really close in the last 15 years. You saw the story of Greenland Bank, International Credit Bank, Gold Trust Bank, National Bank of Commerce. All these have been having challenges and they have closed.
Yes.
So some people are not very comfortable, including myself now. If, for instance, it is discovered that there were some things that were going on wrong with Crane Bank, and Bank of Uganda was either aware or not aware, in either of the two scenarios, it points a bad picture, in my view, on how management of commercial institutions, commercial banks is. Because Bank of Uganda, under the Financial Institutions Act, has a very elaborate role to play. It has a very role to play in appointment of auditors. These auditors are supposed to be qualified by Bank of Uganda. These auditors are supposed not only to report to the directors of the bank, but as well to report to Bank of Uganda. And it is supposed to play a very, very significant role of supervision. So if there are some things that have been going on wrong and they have not been brought to the attention of the bank, then there is a lacuna, and some people are going to be extremely worried that it is not only Crane Bank that is facing this, but perhaps there could be so many other banks that are facing so many problems, but people are simply sitting on them. Now, and that is bad for the economy.
There is another issue that is being raised. Why did the Bank of Uganda take this long to actually realize that Crane Bank had some issues? Because I think there have been issues since 2014 after the mysterious departure of Mr. Kalan, former manager of Crane Bank. And after that, we have had a series of events unfolding and rumors being thrown here and there. And even now that the Crane Bank twists and turns its own words around, after telling us that the bank is sound and now says it's undercapitalized. So is the Bank of Uganda actually being competent with the way it has handled the Crane Bank issue?
No, I think really the financial statements have been a little bit confusing, because you have a scenario of 2014 where the bank has made over 50 billion in terms of profits. Then you have information indicating that by close of 2015, now they are in 1.8 billion. This is really over 98%, in my view, decline.
The decline in 12 months.
So I mean, it is something that has been like spontaneous, you know. It could actually have been something that has caught so many people off guard. Because if you look at their asset base, if you look at the kind of physical infrastructure they have been in, this is the bank that has over 45 branches spread all over the country, and now with also presence in neighboring country, Rwanda. So it is not something that ordinarily would expect. But also I want to believe that Bank of Uganda, through its supervisory role, somehow, somewhere, they must be knowing what has been going on. And if, as a matter of fact, if the statutory manager that has been appointed by Bank of Uganda, if he manages to conduct a very, very good audit, and results are published, and they indicate that actually these problems have been there and have been imminent, then I have a feeling that Bank of Uganda should have something that they need to improve on if it points to their inability to detect some of these challenges.
Now, there are allegations. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I think you have also, you being an economist yourself, you have heard a lot about the conspiracy theories, the fact that Crane Bank has been amassing a lot of wealth into some other companies, onshore companies that are owned by the same Rupaleria Group mogul, Sudhir Rupaleria. So now, what is your way of the events now that the bank Nkuru ya Rwanda has decided to say Crane Bank Rwanda is actually capitalized, it's okay, and it's independent of whatever events are unfolding in Uganda. So one would be called to think that it was just a shift of the money to Rwanda, and then you let go of Uganda and decide to make it an opportunity cost.
Yes, at this stage people will say anything they want to say. But what must be very clear is that if, for instance, a company comes from abroad and establishes presence here, there are two ways to do it. One of them is to incorporate an indigenous company, and you co-opt some Ugandans as part of their shareholders and subsequently directors. So it becomes an independent company. Then in other scenario, you could have this as a subsidiary, where the control probably is in Uganda, in Uganda, and then some other aspects of management and service delivery is in another country. All those scenarios can happen. But this is also an opportunity for us to understand how this has been taking place. I'll give an example. All along I knew that these buildings that have been constructed that are the same in Kabale, in
Kisoro,
in Kisoro, in Mbarara, in all these corners of Kampala, Crane Bank buildings, I'm interested to know, did they belong to the bank or they belong to certain individuals or a certain company? And if so, was the bank paying rent? And if that is the case, who is going to be liable in case it is discovered that actually, as a matter of fact, maybe there is no money anymore to pay for that rent? So once a thorough investigation is conducted, we shall be able to know, forget the conspiracy theories, we shall be able to know how this enterprise has been running, who have been the key stakeholders, who have been the key beneficiaries. I think I still have faith that they will have capacity to do that, and I'm quite certain that very soon we shall be knowing exactly who the players are and what went wrong. Because there are some people who imagine, if you are the richest man perhaps in East Africa, and you're running very successful enterprises, you're putting up buildings in every part of the city, are you among those people whose enterprise, such as the bank, should really fail in terms of actually generating enough money to take care of some of the liabilities that probably are rising? So those are some of the things that will come up, and I'm glad if people start asking some of these questions. But let us put conspiracy theories aside. Let us look at the 6 months that are mandatory for the management takeover, which the law provides. I think in this section 88 to 90 of the Financial Institutions Act.
The takeover is 6 months.
Yes, that the central bank shall do a management takeover by appointing a statutory manager who will be in charge of the bank for 6 months. After 6 months, if there are systems that have been cleaned and put in place for the bank to proceed, they can hand over
back to the management.
Yes. But in case in 3 months or any other reasonable period that they can add, the bank fails, what is likely to be the case is that they can close the bank or liquidate the bank. So those are some of the scenarios that are at play. So we wait to see in the 6 months whether actually the management under the statutory manager, whether they will be able to contain the kind of anxiety that we have. As you can see, people are lining up to withdraw their savings. And in my view, if you sustain a bank, then you need to raise hope that actually this enterprise is here and is going to stay. So once, in my view, the new leaders, as a matter of fact, handles this process quite well, maybe it will bounce back.
Patrick, we have about 4 banks in Kenya that are under receivership. Now, we know, because you have explained to me off air, that this is not a receivership. This is a statutory takeover. Now, do you think that receivership can be an option for Crane Bank? And if the answer to that question is yes, then will it work?
You see, the thing is that a bank works something different like these normal companies, really. Because really, receivership here, you are taking over management. There are debts that have accrued. Try to resuscitate the company, pay off debts. After paying off debts, then you can hand over. Now, this is a little bit different. This is an institution that is running on the confidence of clients. You have to show that you are credible for people to come and deposit
and keep their money
there. Then you can use some of the medium-term or long-term deposits for doing other business, such as lending and other products as well. So now, once you cannot guarantee people coming to deposit money with you, then you don't have any business. And that is why receivership, really, in the strict sense of the word, in as far as the banking sector is concerned, is a little bit challenging.
Patrick, now, lastly, the Crane Bank says there are so many other Ugandan banks that are undercapitalized, not only themselves. And I think by June 2016, this very year, we had Standard Chartered Bank facing problems with their non-performing loans at about 14.5 billion there. So now, are the tough economic times affecting many commercial banks just because Crane Bank might be the litmus paper test? And then, if that is so, do you think that there is some hope for the economy, or are we just plunging deeper and deeper into the abyss?
No, yes, I think we are living in very difficult economic times, in my view, because you realize that we have had a central bank rate that has been rising. It is, I think, last month that there's a tendency to have the policy revised to 13%. Now, what it means, if you have loans that are very expensive to acquire, it poses a problem. You have very few people who are coming to trade with you. So it affects the volume of business. But also remember, every time the central bank rate changes, it affects actually existing loans. We have had a scenario here where you get a loan at 16%. When they tinker the central bank rate, you find that the loan that you procured at 16% is going to 24 to 27. And what does it mean? If really you're borrowing, it doesn't mean that, it means that you have been in a problem and you want money to help you.
Yes.
Now, if you are the same burdened person who is paying a loan and then there is an added interest to what you already had committed or you had planned, do you think you are such a person who is going to pay the loan? Very well. It becomes a challenge. And that is why you see that we are living in an economy where majority of the businessmen are crying for a bailout. So now, it has started with businessmen, it is going to banks, and I'm very sure that each one of us, really, when you look at your pockets, it is a picture, really, in my view, that is a little bit gloomy. So, in my view, the economy as it is, there's a problem. In my view, people are crying, and there's a spillover effect that is... Because, I mean, if you don't have the money, then you can't save in the bank.
You can't save in the bank. So, and you can't buy any commodity.
And you can't buy.
So everyone...
If you get a loan, you can't pay. And if you can't pay, the financial institution collapses.
Thanks a lot, Patrick Katabazi, for joining us for
The
Prime
pleasure is
News
mine.
Live. He is an economist, and here we have been discussing the issues that matter right now in this country of Uganda. President Yoweri Museveni was today morning forced to summon the Natural Resources Committee of Parliament to Entebbe over the growing tensions in the sand mining. The committee, led by the Isinjiro South Member of Parliament, Alex Byarugaba, has scheduled to meet the National Environment Management Authority over their laxity on the management of the natural resources in the country, as Aaron's Tabaruka reports.
In the corridors of power at Parliament, we have discovered that the Committee on Natural Resources has gone to Entebbe to meet President Yoweri Museveni. This is in regard to findings on the sand mining on Lake Victoria and in Rera in Kalunga and Masaka districts. We will have to wait on what this discussion will bring to us. The impromptu meeting, although meant to discuss the unfolding findings by the Parliamentary Natural Resources Watchdog, might actually leave them compromised.
We cannot give out our environment at whatever cost. We need to protect the environment.
Overzealous to stamp their mandate and fit to restore the lost flora and fauna and the crackdown on the illicit sand trade, Namayanja could not hide her discontent on how she was taken by surprise this morning.
I don't know. I was not informed. I was just informed that the committee is going to meet the president.
The meeting exposes the committee's independence on a decision seen to expose the routine giveaway of land to foreign investors and National Environment Management Authority's incompetence. But what is wrong with a committee meeting with the president?
If the president is concerned and needs to be briefed, he has a right to be briefed. But what I'm praying is that the members who have gone to State House, don't get compromised in any other way.
The Natural Resources Committee this week demanded a restoration order on sand mining in Victoria and Katonga basins that is seen to put unknown companies at the risk, and latest findings being Aqua World owned by the Kakande Ministries.
We also set out to investigate the status of sand mining in Ruera wetland, legality of the operations, ownership of these titles, of the titles in the wetland, and nationalities of persons who were involved.
The meeting with the president also stems from ultimatums on the restoration order on companies sandwiched into the illicit trade on the lake and the wetlands in Ruera and Katonga Basin. While NEMA issued out licenses for aquaculture, companies were found to have attracted multinational investments into sand mining suspected to involve government shots undercover. The licenses were also found to have bearings of forgery, with National Environment Management Authority seemingly unaware of the gross anomalies. Aaron Stawarka, WBS Television at Parliament.
Thanks a lot, Aarons. It's 26 past 9 o'clock. Let's take a short break. Prime News Live continues.
The new Fuso construction track FJ2523 6x4 tipper. The 16cm cubed, approximately 18-ton payload tipper comes with a package full of benefits, all for you. The new Fuso FJ engine is fuel efficient, lowering emissions. Its fuel pumps are oil lubricated to reduce tear and wear, thus increasing efficiency and longevity. This ultimately makes the Fuso FJ tipper a low maintenance cost track. The new Fuso tipper comes with 9-speed transmission gearbox, a larger clutch plate, plus a differential lock to overcome one-wheel spinning, making the Fuso easier to drive through slippery roads. The Fuso FJ tipper further rewards you with exceptional loading capacity and comfort, has extra heavy-duty rear suspension and rear axle for heavier load, and standard front and rear anti-roll bars to increase stability and safety. The driver's cabin is designed for comfortable, safe driving. The cabin includes fold-down bank where the driver can rest during breaks, reducing fatigue. The new Fuso construction track is built from a state-of-the-art Daimler manufacturing facility. Get it from Spear Modules at a very competitive price.
You are watching Prime News Live on air, online and on Facebook. My name is Daniel Lutaya. Christian University of Mukono in various academic disciplines, and the girls composed 56%. While addressing the congregation, the Vice Chancellor of the UCU, Reverend Canon Dr. John Senyonyi, asked government to rescue them from tenants who are grabbing university land at Ntawo village. Ronald Kalumba filed this report from Mukono.
There was joy and happiness during the 17th graduation ceremony of Uganda Christian University Mukono, when 1,589 students were conferred upon degrees, diplomas and other milestones in various academic disciplines. Out of 1,589, 44 managed first-class degrees, and a number of girls composed the biggest percentage of those that performed well. Some of the graduates that we managed to speak to said they are thankful to have graduated, but also said their great worry is the job market.
It's very exciting because, first of all, now I believe I can compete outside there in the world, because a degree is something important. At least I've added something else onto my CV, and I believe with time an opportunity will show itself and I'll get through with life. And the biggest challenge I see that we are facing as youths at the moment is the fact that we have lots of graduates coming out, but if you look at the graduates coming out and you balance it with the number of jobs out there, you find it's a really big challenge.
I have seen many challenges like tuition deadlines. I thought I would get a dead semester, but the Lord has seen me through. There are also hardships in doing and finishing coursework on time. especially without enough gadgets. But the Lord has seen us through. Today, as I graduate, I go with a worry that where am I going to fix myself?
While addressing the congregation, the Vice Chancellor, UCU Reverend Karen Dr. John Senyonyi, used the occasion to reassure stakeholders that Uganda Christian University is the rightful owner of the contested 1 square mile Ntao land under their company of UCU Holdings.
The title of the 1 square mile of land at Ntao. We have evidence and have had it for many years. However, the university has been crippled from creating an alternative revenue income stream because of being forcibly kept out of her land and the use of illegitimate political influence against the university. Consequently, the university finds itself leaning heavily on student fees.
On his part, the Chancellor of the University, the Most Reverend Stanley Ntagari, also called on the government of Uganda to support private higher education institutions for the country to flourish in education.
Of Uganda to support private higher education by making it affordable and to assist it so that it can flourish. This will only be possible if government gives tax relief to private, not for profit education at different levels.
Tagali gave applause to the Church of Uganda for tremendous work done in extending services to the people of Uganda in various capacities.
A select committee set by COSASE has today commenced its work to establish the findings of the illegal UNRA payments to a non-existent firm, China Railway Engineering Uganda. This stems from the UNRA Executive Director Allen Kajina's revelation and apologies that the authority had paid billions of taxpayers' money to a company that was not doing its work. We have Aaron Stabaruka on this one.
Select committee set by the Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises has commenced its work to establish the findings of the illegal Uganda National Roads Authority payments. The 22 billion payment controversy involved the Uganda National Roads Authority to a non-existent firm, China Railway Engineering Uganda.
And Chair, it is true that we contracted with China Rail China. If you China Rail China. Let me say China Rail China. And we have actually been paying China Rail Uganda. It is also true that the company doing the work is not China Rail Uganda. I would like to apologize because yesterday I actually said China Rail Uganda is the one doing the work.
Select Committee also today morning opened up the committee to the Auditor General and the consultant for an interaction.
It was important that the committee meets the Office of the Auditor General and the consultant to address some of the issues. We have realized that there are a lot of gaps that we need to address. We've realized that much as we are doing a lot of financial audit, there is need for us to look at audit value for money.
Honorable Florence Namayanja is optimistic that the interaction is useful for the committee in legislation and oversight role of government statutory authorities.
It is necessary because from time to time we need to strengthen our ways of working so that the Office of the Auditor General and the committee, we share and don't leave out anything pertinent that needs to be addressed.
Committee yesterday discovered the need for an inquiry to curb the ongoing illegalities, with members vowing to squeeze Uganda National Roads Authority to ascertain that the scenario was not affecting other contract performances.
So realize that there are tax consequences. When you are paying a wrong party, it means the accountability of taxes. Actually, the remissions are questionable. We have formed a team that is going to carry out a comprehensive tax audit in liaison with the Uganda Revenue Authority.
Uganda National Roads Authority has 4 weeks to carry out an internal due diligence and report to the committee as the committee continues to investigate the formation and payment of the taxpayers' money to China Railway Engineering Group, Uganda. Arans Tabarka, WBS Television at Parliament.
The Uganda government, under the Ministry of Water and Environment through the Climatic Change Department, has launched a national greenhouse gas inventory as above to combat climate change. The inventory will serve as a cornerstone to report about climatic change, provide adequate database enabling climatic change stakeholders to share relevant information about the climatic change activities, among others. We have the details.
On 15 September 2016, Uganda joined the international struggle to combat climate change by being a signatory to the Paris Protocol of the United Nations. Honorable Sam Kutesa, Minister of Foreign Affairs, signed the ratification instrument of the Paris Agreement on climate change ahead of the 71st Ordinary Session of the United Nations General Assembly, during which several countries submitted their ratification instruments to the UN Secretary General back in Mon at a special event organized on 21st September 2016. Today, the Uganda government has shown her commitment to the ratification instrument of the Paris Agreement by launching the greenhouse gas inventory at the Ministry of Water and Environment's Climate Change Department in the Luzira, a Kampala suburb.
Launch the greenhouse gas inventory system. Asante sana.
It is from here that the Minister of Water and Environment, Honorable Sam Cheptoris, reiterated Uganda's commitment to combat climate change by reducing gas emissions by 22% by the year 2030.
In addition, government has undertaken national preparations towards the country's engagement in the forthcoming UN Climate Conference in Morocco.
He says that the issue of climate change is real and has been impacting negatively on the Ugandans over time. Thus, the prevailing Bududa and Kasese landslides and floods respectively that have been witnessed for many years. He thus hopes that with the invasion of the greenhouse gas inventory, climate change effects can be mitigated for the better future, with keeping environment temperature on at least 2 degrees centigrade.
If we do not take steps to adapt to and mitigate climate change, the impacts on all sectors will be devastating and in many cases irreversible.
Christian Shemdit, head of European delegation in Uganda, has stressed that European countries are least mentioned on raising climate change disasters, despite their being industrialized. He thus says industrialization can thrive with little effects on the environment once properly handled.
There is now technologies in place, and in fact the European Union's GDP is growing while we are reducing our emissions. So if the political will is there to apply those technologies, that goes also as a lesson to Uganda. You can industrialize without increasing your emissions. So,
at the time Uganda launches such an inventory, global nations are preparing for the UN climate change meeting in Morocco. Therefore, the inventory system will help the country in sharing, archiving and monitoring carbon trajectories, thus leading to transparency when handling climate change data at all times. Julius Kitone, WBS Prime News.
Thanks a lot, Julius. Let's take another short break. Prime News Live continues.
Now in a new look, available in stores near you. Splash Real Fruit Juice.
Hello my ninjas. You know, now that I have a show on DSTV, I keep getting ninjas stopping me on the road asking me questions like, how come my remote does not work? As if I am the batteries in their remote. So now I'm driving to DSTV because when my ninjas ask questions, I have to find the answers. This is my kind of office.
Who are you?
You can see me, star of DSTV. My ninjas want more from DSTV, and when they ask, I have to deliver. Actually, I need to get back to work. So do you think that is something you can do? Continue. So,
That's how we can give people the best content with more sports. As if you have pulled it out of my mouth. Out of my mouth. It's like you are reading my mind. It's wonderful. One of the best ideas I've come up with in like a year right now. It's business unusual. My ninjas. Hey!
Welcome back. This is Prime News Live on air, online and on Facebook. In business, women leaders have advocated for formulation of policies that are considerate of the professional women in business and leadership positions. This was during the 5th Annual Women Leaders Conference held at Kampala Serena Hotel today, the 21st of October. The women in attendance were dismayed regarding why board members, and majorities of them, are often men.
According to Andrew Otengo Owin, Group Executive Director, MBA Brokerage Services Limited, Rwanda, oftentimes women are installed as board members of organizations, companies and projects, but are laid back by virtue of their gender.
The challenge that the lady goes through is obviously boards have tended to be male dominated. So it's difficult for that average lady to actually get the chance, to prove herself.
The correlation between diversity and business success largely shapes the need for inclusion of women in companies and organizations. According to the Regional Director, International Labour Organizations, Mary Kawar, the role and position of women in business is a public policy issue.
The employer pays the whole cost of the maternity leave. I think this is a public policy issue. So there, in many countries of the world, maternity is part of social protection, where the employer and a little bit the worker and the government have a fund within the social security that pays for the cost of maternity leave. So this is the public policy area that is very important, social protection and maternity leave.
Culture, beliefs and upbringing of the woman poses a challenge to the female gender when it comes to business and leadership, a reason why Kari Ming originated the Female Future program in Norway. She believes that if trained, the woman has potential to occupy any leadership and business position.
Because it does something with their self-esteem, and it does something with the way that they are conducting themselves, with the way that they are talking, with the way that they are looking and what they know. Because a lot of women are not sure enough that they know that they are good enough, Okay, I may have gone to the university, I may have been studying hard, but I don't think that I am good enough.
Federation of Uganda Employers organized the 5th Annual Women Leaders Conference through partnership with the UN Women, International Labour Organization, Confederation of Norwegian Enterprises and the Global Compact Network Uganda. Nancy Okwong, WBS Business, Kampala.
Thanks a lot, Nancy Okwong. Kampala Central Division Mayor Charles Musoke Serunjoji has gazetted a section of the Central Business District for street vendors to conduct business in what is being described as the evening markets until an amicable solution to one of Kampala's most long-standing dilemma is found. The move flies straight in the face of the Minister for Kampala, Betty Namisango Kamia's directive on Wednesday, in which she expelled them from the streets. Paul Matovu filed this report.
In a move widely seen as succumbing to pressure from Kasita Uganda, the business umbrella body comprising largely Kampala city-based traders, government issued the directive to street vendors.
A good city, and the vendors, their role is to please get off the city, seek places which are available in the markets.
Although this could have received a standing ovation from Kasita Uganda, it did not go down well for many street vendors who this morning flocked the office of the Urban Council demanding for a solution from Mayor Charles Serunjoji. Addressing street vendors from his office in Kampala, Serunjoji granted vendors permission to go back to gazetted streets, but only to trade during evening hours starting at 5 p.m.
First and foremost, I wanted to make it categorically clear that it is not true that street vending and hawking is an illegal business. According to the law, the Street Vendors, according to the Street Vendors Act, and according to the Hawkers Ordinance, street vending and hawking are forms of trade. They only have to be regulated.
To him, there is no cause of criminalizing street vending when built markets within the capital still have issues.
This is provided for because the Vendors Act tells us that the owners to set conditions under which the vendors can operate is or lies on the council. About the hawkers, we used to have hawkers licenses, but now these licenses are no more. And the onus lies on the council to reintroduce these hawkers permits.
The vendors have welcomed the move by the Central Urban Authority, appealing for the President's intervention for an amicable solution.
Akalembereza kano katuteereddewo tayinza kukkiriza muntu yenna ayagala kukatabangula. Enkola ya mukyala Betty Kamya okutuula eri waggulu n'alagira nga tasoose kuyita mu lukiiko lwa KCC olwa Lord Mayor yenna alowooza bulowooza nti abatembeeyi babasibe babakwate babasibe bagende babakasuka eluzira si ntuufu era tugivumirira.
Ekintu ky'okutusiba kyabadde bakola ekyo kibadde kikyamu nnyo ky'okutusiba. Bwe bakutwala eruzira ebisagazi ebyeruzira babisituza omutembeeyi akedde n'asuubula ebintu bye n'anoonya muwogo. Olutukawo KCC ekwata etwala eruzira. Naye ekintu kye tubadde tusaba Lord Mayor ne Muzeeyi Museveni ekintu ekyo tekidda mu Kampala Central kye mbadde nsaba Muzeeyi.
Ne neebaza Mayor ne ba MPs bonna abavuddeyo bateeka amaanyi mu nsonga zaffe era nkubiriza abantu baffe bonna abatannaba kuvayo kutuwagira tibanne mujje mutuwagire.
Although other opposition leaders within the capital have declined to meet the president upon his invitation, including Kampala Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, to Serron George, this is a platform he cannot let go, promising to use the avenue to seek for solutions on the problems facing the city. This story was compiled by Paul Matovu, WBS Kampala.
That's a lot, Paul Matovu. On Wednesday this week, the Minister for Kampala, Betty Kamya Namisango, issued a directive emphasizing that the city vendors had to vacate streets, road reserves, open spaces, road carriageways and sidewalks within Kampala. However, city vendors are still crying foul, asserting that the government is not being considerate to them.
The Minister, Betty Kamya's move is the culmination of the sustained campaign by traders under Kasita Uganda to have the vendors off the streets by accusing them of sabotaging their own operations by offering merchandise to customers at low prices, while the tax-paying traders in shops and arcades register losses.
I am seeking the cooperation and understanding of the street vendors. I have explained that for a good city, everybody must play their role and must pay a price for a good city. And the vendors, their role is to please get off the city, seek places which are available in the markets.
The traders, however, assert that the things they sell are got from these same arcades, so they cannot understand why the owners of these arcades are complaining that they do not get clients.
Bano ab'amaduuka ne bavaayo ne batwala complain nnyingi nga ntino bamazeeko emirembe. Nze mbadde nsaba baali badde basooka basala pressure kubanga ebintu ffe tetugenda China bisuubula ebintu bisuubula wano Uganda era nga tubijja ku byo ku bennyini. Badde nsaba batuweeyo akadde kano tulyoke tukolemu nga naffe twetereeza ow'okugenda.
One businessman who is also an arcade owner has come out to side with the vendors, saying that they help them a lot selling off the goods that are about to expire and also give them a lot of business as they purchase the goods from their arcades.
Wakati nze ndi wadduuka kyekyamazima amatuufu abaana abo be bajja ne bansuubulako ebintu ogeza yalingi ebintu ebisinga baliwa ku makubo. Abaana bano bemala ku makubo mu butuufu yatusuubulako ebintu oluwemba nga nina ebintu enkolose ziremedde mu maduuka. Abaana bano banyamba nnyo ne bajja ne basobola otwala ebintu ebyo ne babitunda ne biggwawo.
Most of these vendors have informed us that the places KCCA is talking about don't have customers, Yet the rent one needs to pay in order to get the space there is high and they cannot afford it. They therefore ask the government at least for some more time as they sort themselves out.
Obutale bwa beeyi omuntu atunda obuntu obutono kati nga buno obusenya tayinza agenda mu katale kukwata siringi emitwalo 3 agende mu katale atunde mu katale nga katale kali era tasobola kye kimuleeta ku luguudo kutaba na ssente bw'aba alina bwa butono kale kumutwala mu katale n'abali mu katale baba ne ssente ezimaze okuwera ne babeera mu katale era noono bw'azifuna ne ziwera agenda mu katale singa bamugobye ekyo kati ekigaana omuntu ogenda mu katale.
However, KCCA spokesperson Peter Kawuju says that the issue is being handled by the minister herself and that they are forging ways through which the vendors are going to be handled.
The matter of vendors in Kampala City is one that has been attended to by the office of the Ministry for Kampala. There was a statement issued recently, and the political leaders of Kampala City are actually handling. And so I will be happy to tell you that the minister, the political leaders, including the councillors, are all working out initiatives to ensure that they address the issue of vendors.
Well, let's take another short break and return with a recap of tonight's headlines.
The Mamas are back! On the 22nd of October, the Mamas are hitting Ticket Pro Dome in Johannesburg for a star-studded night of music royalty across the continent. You get to decide who walks away with the trophy at the biggest music awards show in Africa. To vote for your favorites, head to mtvbase.com. To see the artists live in Georgia, buy your golden tickets at ticketpro.co.za. The MTV Africa Music Awards, Johannesburg 2016.
Are you planning a theatre production, National Forum, a screening event? Imagine your production going beyond the stage and broadcast live to thousands of viewers across the nation. Welcome to WBS Theatre. The WBS Television Theatre is fully equipped with modern light, sound, broadcasting and recording equipment. Everything you need for quality production is in place. The WBS Television Theatre has played host to a number of national forums, school events and theatre productions, among others. Our theatre booking terms and prices are very convenient and flexible. Book today and enjoy a discount. Visit the WBS Theatre today, located at WBS House Nakuru. For more information, call 0414 344 313/4.
In the headlines tonight, clients in panic, withdrawals continue as Crane Bank takeover crisis continues.
School is also going to make sure that they look at the electricity connections in the school so that this does not happen again.
Students escape with minor injuries as St. Peter's SS dormitories go up in flames. Natural Resources Committee summoned to State House as inquest into illegal sand mining trade continues.
The challenge that the lady goes through is obviously boards have tended to be male dominated.
And stakeholders want greater role for women in business leadership. Well, that's all the time that we had for this edition of Prime News Live. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at WBS TV Uganda. And if you missed any part of this newscast, then you can go to our YouTube channel, WBS TV Uganda, and get a playback. My name is Daniel Lutaya. Peter Kibazo is next with a face-off. Good night.